freaking out all morning, saying there's too high of traffic. Try again in 30 to 60 seconds. I didn't work, came in and out of the room. So you guys let me know. If you can hear me, if you can see me right now, then we're in business. No, I was not taking a dump. Someone said you get too sore if you take a dump. Trust me. It's not that you get sore. Your legs start to go numb. You stand up, you fall into the wall. We've all been there. But I don't know if we're live, so I'm checking right now. Let me see. Yeah, we're good. All right, cool. Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. But honestly, I was about to give up. I tried to go live at 10:01, and then for 10 minutes we got this issue. So I'm just gonna leave it the way it is, and we're gonna try and make this work. I actually believe the error was on the Stochastic X Twitter side, but we should be okay here. So I appreciate you guys being patient. Sometimes we run into some technical issues. This is one that I couldn't actually do anything about, though. Never seen that error message before, and I actually went and searched it on X. I just typed StreamYard in. And it appears that there were a lot of people who were having the same issue. But high traffic makes no sense. Like, what do you mean you're deploying resources? You're going to have them deployed in 30 seconds to have it fixed? Whatever. We're here. Good morning. Happy Monday. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. And it's time to talk baseball. What do you say? We've got a nice little slate here. 10-gamer today coming up. And some pretty decent pitching. But I must say, and maybe you guys see it differently. We're going to dive into all of it right now. I must say, I do feel like it's kind of top heavy. Like, actually, I feel like it's extremely top heavy. Where there's like 3 or 4 pitchers that we're going to get a lot of. And then outside of that, there's really not that much, which is fine. That's fine. But we're going to break them all down. We leave no stone unturned here on the Stochastic Strategy Show. You know, Clayton, does this put your Producer of the Year award at peril? No, dude, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. I think I have a pretty solid explanation there. You know, cover my ass. Yeah. Do you have any playoff best ball teams for MLB, or do I any MLB? No, I don't do MLB best ball. I do a lot of NFL best ball. I don't do MLB best ball. I don't do enough MLB research during the off season to really make it worthwhile for me. Like football, I'm researching and talking about all year long. Baseball is not the case. But yeah, appreciate all you guys already pointing this out. If you haven't done so, before we get into all of today's plays, which we're going to do right now, take a single second, atone for your sins this fine morning. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Goes a long way. Appreciate you for it. Even if you're a podcast listener, leaving a rating and a review, all that stuff, super helpful. Thank you guys. Let's get into it. So I got the data hub up here, and it's time to talk about this. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, you got Tarek Skubal, who's on the mound today, going up against Kansas City. But, can I just say one more thing? How many times do I have to tell everybody that Jesus Luzardo is as good as I've been saying Jesus Luzardo is? You know? I think I can rest my case after yesterday's start. What do you have? 12 strikeouts, 7 innings against the Blue Jays who don't strike out. Just gonna keep saying it until we realize that, like, this guy may be the best pitcher on the Phillies. That's a stretch, right? But I think it's possible. I think he's that good. Yeah, just absolutely dominated yesterday. So, yeah. Danny, good morning, brother. Hey, good morning. Thinking Detmer and Gore with an Arizona stack. Love the show. Thanks, man. Yeah, well, you know what? We're going to talk about Mackenzie Gore, and the Sims always give us Mackenzie Gore. Do they not? I feel like it doesn't matter what we do. We're going to end up getting Mackenzie Gore, and it's okay. I think it makes sense. My guess is we're going to get Reed Detmers as well because he has excellent strikeout stuff. I'm certain we're going to get Tarek Skubal. His price has come down since we last discussed him. He wasn't great last start, but we didn't even love him last start. There were some other ways that we could get there. Logan Henderson's always interesting to me. Yeah. Michael was as good as the Peyton Tolley start on Friday. Yeah, Sims were jamming him. And by the way, the one guy on Friday that I said we needed to give a manual boost to was Drew Rasmussen, and he dominated. He had like 34 DraftKings points. Remember, let's go with him over Gilbert in the same game. Drew Rasmussen out there in Seattle, great park, great pitcher. Strikeout stuff looks better. He went nuts, dude. I think he had 7 scoreless 2-hit innings with 8 strikeouts. I'm not saying the lineup wasn't watered down, Muhammad, but it's still a contact-laden team. I'm just a big Luzardo fan when he's not tipping pitches. But anyway, let's make it happen here. One other thing we need to touch on, because we give people their props. We give people their props when they do good things, especially using the tools, especially rocking the avatar. Yeah, how about this right here? How about Mood? How about Mood 1977? Our boy, been grinding all summer with little wins here and there, knowing the tools would eventually pay off. 150K in the bat flip last night, thanks to the tools and Eric's insights on Live Before Lock. I'd say they paid themselves off. Congrats, Mood. Love to see it, dude. Another 50K. I've lost count of how many 50K flagship bat flip winners we've had this season, and the hits just keep coming. So if he's in here, I don't know. Shout him out. If not, congratulations to you, man. Excellent win. You love to see it. And as always, for anyone looking to check the tools out for themselves, we are now exactly 1 month away from the start of the NFL season. So, grabbing a month of MLB or a month of anything takes you all the way up to the start of football, Wednesday, August 9th, or August 9th or 10th or 8th or whatever it is, September, I mean. You get my point. We are now 1 month away. 1 month away. So use MLB Strategy, link down below. We'll auto-load it for whatever you want. A week, a month, core, a max, or all access. Big discount, no matter how you play it. 10% off MLB Strategy. Link in the description. Make sure to check that out. And shout out to Mood 77. You love to see it. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk baseball. What do you say? And yes, we will be talking football today. You are correct. The MLB NFL way too early first look strategy show coming up. I think it's 2 p.m. today. I already got it set up. The event's already made on YouTube, so I wasn't lying to you guys, but I will not disappear and not do it. It will happen, and it will happen today at 2 o'clock, I think, 1 or 2 o'clock. Either way, it's up there. So let's go. All right. Tarek Skubal obviously looks good today. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. Price point has come down. And then not only that, but when you look at Tarek Skubal and you look at some of the props that you're getting from this guy on a day like today, it's going to be a very, very, projected to be a very, very solid outing for one Tarek Skubal. And I think rightfully so. You're talking about a guy today that has, look at this, a 7.5K prop. Now it's a 7.5K prop in some spots, juiced to the over here. A really, really favorable spot. I mean, you look at the last time he was pitching, it was his debut with the LA Dodgers against the Cubs in Chicago. He was fine, by the way. But for a regular pitching performance, he was fine. No one's going to be like, man, you have to be better, giving up 2 runs in 6 innings. Fine. But not from a fantasy standpoint. You pay $11,000 to get less than 18 DraftKings points. You're not okay with that. Today could look a little bit different for sure. 7.5 Ks. You look at his outs prop. Again, you're talking 18.5 outs. Earn run prop sitting at 1.5. By the way, under is heavily juiced everywhere on a guy like Tarek Skubal. So yes, at 10.7, he clearly looks good. I have very little doubt, and I have not fully looked at exposures yet, that we're going to get a lot of him. It only makes sense. But I also think that you have some good options elsewhere. Now, I've mentioned at the beginning of the show, I think a lot of this comes down to how good do these guys look and how bad does the rest of the field look. I don't know how spread out you need to be. And I think we had like 3 slates last week where it was just we went down the list and there were 10, 11 quality or at least viable pitchers. I don't really feel like that's the case today. Now, if you guys disagree, feel free. Let me know. Let me know. Because I don't see it. I do not see this being the case. Think about this for a second. You look at the position, and And hold on, actually, we gotta do our filters real quick, because this is gonna show you guys kind of everything that I was talking about here. Whereas it feels like there's good pitching, but there's not a lot of pitching, right? So if you look at projections at pitcher, you've got Tarek Skubal obviously at the top. Reed Detmers looks good. Gore always kind of looks good because of the strikeout upside, and he's going up against the Angels. I know sometimes you would rather have a righty against the Angels than a lefty, but they still strike out at a pretty big clip against lefties as well. So you're not exactly just going to shy away from that. 25% K rate against lefties this year. Their WRC plus is 21st in the league, 150 ISO. They're 16th. Like, they're fine, you know, but they're a little better against lefties than righties. Still strike out a ton. So keep Mackenzie Gore in mind. Logan Henderson. I mean, look, what else can we say about this guy right now? He's been fantastic. And the only thing I don't love is that, like, for example, he threw 83 pitches last time out against Pittsburgh, and he went 6 innings. There's a lot of other, like, if that were, say, Luzardo, for example, yes, or Wheeler the other day. Wheeler didn't have a great start, but he threw 180 pitches. Like, there are certain pitchers out there. Sanchez, honestly, all 3 of those guys from the Phillies rotation, and there's other teams that will do the same thing. They will they'll let the workhorse, right? They'll let the ace, they'll let him go, let him work. Why would you not? But then the thing about Philly is their bullpen just blows games left and right. If you trust your bullpen, you don't really have to tax these starters any more than you need to, and you don't need too much. So in a situation like Henderson, he goes 6 innings, throws 83 pitches. A lot of other starters are absolutely coming back out for the 7th inning, right? He threw 5 innings, 3 starts ago, 80 pitches, 5 innings, 73 pitches. So yeah, I do think there is some type of limitations here. Does it mean that you don't play him? No. What I mean is that at 10,200, there probably is. It feels, I don't want to say entirely prohibitive, because I do think this is just a really good pitcher, but you're paying 10,200, right? Now hear me out, because people may think of this differently. You're paying 10,200 for a guy that could very possibly throw like 80 to 85 pitches. You know, like, there's a good chance you just lop an additional inning off because he's in the Brewers starting rotation. And that concerns me. The matchup against San Diego is perfectly fine. You know, San Diego is better now than they were through the first like 3 months of the season. Because it would have been hard to be worse. They were the worst team against righties, as a matter of fact. Their strikeout rate, you know, middle of the league. They're still not great, but you've seen them improve a little bit. 10,200 is tough though when you have Gore against the Angels at 8.5, right? You have Detmers in a reasonable matchup at 8.7. You have Skubal only $500 more expensive, and I would expect him to have a lot longer of a leash. So, you know, we'll talk about the dumpster diving in a second. Don't worry. But I did want to show you guys this real quick. So if you look at Henderson today, 1.5 earn run prop, juice to the over. So same line, different odds as Skubal. Strikeouts for Henderson, 5.5, juice to the under at 10,500. But then you come to pitching outs, and you're getting 16.5 with a little bit of juice to the under in this spot. Again, it's like, you're talking what? 5 1/3, 5 2/3 innings, five, 6 strikeouts. He could still get it done. I just think that price point is tougher to pay for Henderson today, specifically when you have Skubal's price and you have those guys beneath him. That's all I'm saying. Oh, and you know who else you have? I didn't even mention this yet. And I will get to some of the cheat guys. If you guys have questions, obviously just ask them in chat. You know I'm happy to answer them. Clayton, a lot of playoff teams are going to start managing workloads. Hell, Milwaukee has been. Milwaukee has been. I'm not saying every single start these pitchers are throwing 70 pitches, but it feels like since the All-Star break, you've seen them, if possible, limiting these guys. The way think of it like this. Like if you go Mizrowski, 5 innings, 83 pitches, 7 innings, 83 pitches, even though he could have easily gone 8. I'm seeing that with these starters, if you're going, with the starters that you really care about, if they're finishing an inning in the 80 or so pitch range, they're probably not coming back out. That's what it feels like to me, So, I don't know. Now, Kyle Harrison last start had those calf cramps, right? So he came out at 69 pitches after 5 innings, was dominant. But he probably would have only gone one more. Jags fan, Brewers have limited guys since Woodruff went down again. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's possible. It sucks, too, because Woodruff is just so good and he can't stay healthy no matter what he does. Imagine if he was healthy. You'd have Mizrowski, Henderson, Harrison, and Woodruff as your playoff rotation. Like, would you even need anybody else? No, definitely not. You'd have, that might be the best 4-man rotation right now among healthy, if Woodruff was healthy among healthy in the NL. Because the Phillies, in my opinion, have the best, I won't say that, but their top 3, Wheeler, Sanchez, and Luzardo, are absolutely dominant. Their 4th is garbage in Aaron Nola, and they don't even have a 5th. But the other guy that we need to talk about here is Michael Soroka. Now, Soroka hasn't pitched in 2 calendar months? He hasn't pitched since the 19th of June. But he was having a pretty sick season. Soroka had been pitching well. And now you have him at home making his return against the Colorado Rockies. I can't help but think this is the type of spot that we'd be okay getting to. Colorado, not nearly as bad as last year because that's actually impossible. Not striking out as much as last year, but still not an imposing team. This is not like some formidable offense that you just stay away from. Soroka only had 1 rehab appearance through 57 pitches. Well, that's the other thing. So what you have to do in a spot like you gotta see, number one, what does it look like from a props perspective? So for example, and we might not even have him on Soroka yet. We do 14.5, -140 to the over. Strikeouts, 4.5. Earned runs, 1.5. Yeah, that does make it a little difficult. I would love to play Soroka today, but 8,200 might make it a little tough too. You have Casey Mize. I probably don't go to much Casey Mize against Milwaukee at $9,000. I don't love that. I don't love Sonny Gray here, although the left-handed Luzardo just lit them up. Sonny Gray is not the worst thing in the world just because Toronto's not actually a good offense, So there's that. But assuming they're back to their regular offense today, their regular lineup, it doesn't look all that good. How about Dean Kremer making his first start on his new team against his former team? How about that? Jeff, Brewers really taxed their bullpen this weekend. Yeah, look, that's definitely an interesting note. But still, how long do you let Henderson go? He's already been a guy they've treated with kid gloves for essentially whenever he's out there. But I don't know. I think Sonny Gray looks okay. You guys tell me, are there any pitchers down here you like? Andrew Painter's actually looked much better in his last 2 starts, but here's the thing about Andrew Painter. They're not going to let him go deep. He got pulled after 4 innings, and he was having his best start that I can remember this season last time out. He's on a very tight leash, even though the bullpen stinks. Hunter Dobbins against Philly. Philly's got the second or third highest total on the slate. Hunter Dobbins is not generating a lot of swing and miss stuff, a lot of strikeouts. And now that you have Luis Arias, that's another thing where it's like you're just not going to get strikeouts there, you know? So it actually takes a Philly team that, and again, I know it's only one guy. I know it's only one player, but you're pretty much just saying you're not, every time you face this guy, you're not going to strike him out, right? Like that's just kind of how it feels. And if that's the case, I don't know, probably don't want to do that. St. Louis is also one of those parks that when it's hot out actually plays pretty hitter friendly. 95 degrees today at Busch Stadium, 95 degrees. So there's that going for Philly as well. Hunter Dobbins, it's not that his strikeout stuff is terrible, but it's league average. It's 21% strikeout rate on the season. You know, and now you take this Philly active roster, and guess what? I said this about San Francisco a lot with you guys, that you had Lee and you had Arias dragging that entire K rate down. Like now Philly has a 19.7% K rate against righties. What? You know, it's crazy on their active roster. So yeah, I'd probably not want to do that. One Poodle fan, were you going to elaborate more on Kremer? Yeah, I will. We bounce around here a little bit. My fault. But I will. I'm just moving up here for a second to show you guys something. Gabriel Hughes, Jacob Lopez. I mean, no on Jacob Lopez. Just no. Not against Tampa. Blade Tidwell, Jamison Tyon. You have to ask yourself, like, Wisniewski, are any of these guys options that you want to get to? I think for the most part, the answer is going to be no. I don't know. Is Wisniewski appealing to us at 7,100? The righty, you know, 2 starts this year, 79 and 78 pitches. So there's that. San Francisco, they're now middle of the road in strikeout rate against righties. This game's in San Francisco. I don't think you can reliably assume that you're going to get good strikeout stuff from this guy. But, you know, I'll try and throw as many options out there as possible. He's the type of dark horse today that we could look back on and be like, huh, I should have seen that coming, you know? Should have seen Hayden Wisniewski go into San Francisco and put up solid numbers, but I missed it. 2.5 earned run. That's to be expected. Minus 175 to the under. Strikeouts, 4.5 or 3.5 with juice to the over. Again, none of this looks good. 15.5 outs. But we have had success recently picking on this San Francisco lineup. I just don't find this lineup to be very scary for San Francisco. Anyway, let's take a look at our exposures and see what we've got. But yeah, look, again, there are guys in this San Francisco lineup that strike out. There just simply are. And there's one or two that don't, that drag everything down. But plenty of these guys do strike out. Like Bryce Eldridge strikes out. Rafael Devers strikes out. Willy Adames strikes out. Some of these guys strike out a lot. So keep that in mind. It's a weird team that when you just look at them as a team, you go, oh man, there's nothing here. But sometimes there is. Anyway, let's go. You guys wanted to talk about Kremer real quick? Dean Kremer, we can do that. Going up against Baltimore today, his former team. So he gets traded to Minnesota. Now he's still look at the headshots everywhere. He's still got the Baltimore headshot. But no, I don't really see much need to go there. You have no real strikeout stuff to speak of for Dean Kremer. It's not a bad matchup from a strikeout standpoint, though. Baltimore has the highest K rate in the league against righties. So if he was ever going to do it, hell, maybe it is today. Maybe we should be looking at Dean Kremer. Baltimore is now 29th in WRC plus on their active roster against righties, 93 WRC plus. Amazingly, Cincinnati has fallen so far that they have an 86 WRC plus, and I don't think anybody's going to, shall we say, catch them for dead last. So yeah, you haven't really had much out of Dean Kremer this year. He's had, maybe 2 impressive performances all season long, but I'm not totally opposed to the idea that this could be a guy we consider. He's 6,200. And we do try and do this on the show. I never want to just give you guys, pitchers who are like everyone knows it's just obvious and easy, right? Sometimes you have to dig a little bit deeper. The fact that Kremer does have a 5.5K prop today, I think says a lot. The outs prop, the earn run props, that's what you would expect. But yeah, you know what? Kremer's in play. We're gonna say that Dean Kremer's in play. I'm with you. Outside of that, it gets a little bit ugly. Let's see what our exposures look like. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to throw them out there. Happy to answer them. Pop them in chat. Because anyone listening after the fact is still going to benefit from us running through the answers and the questions and all of that stuff. Steven, they need to let Wisniewski go more pitches for me to feel good. Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, 78 and 79 pitches in 2 starts. What's an extra 10 pitches on his 3rd start? I'm not saying that's not important. I'm saying he could get to 90 today, and it wouldn't be surprising. All right, let's see. See, that's a lot of Soroka. I would personally be surprised. I would be surprised to see that. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Let me rerun the Sims for you guys. This is going to change. Okay. This will change because look, Michael Soroka's projection is different in the data hub, which updated at 10:58 than it was when I ran the Sims earlier. So let's run the Sims again real quick. I'm doing this to be helpful to you guys. I don't want to give you bad data. But yeah, I'm thinking there's no way Michael Soroka, with the fact that he had, what did he have? Like a 14.5 outs prop. There's just no way that we're going to be getting 52% of him. That simply does not make sense. I'll say this much though. Now that we're rerunning this, I would love to get your guys' thoughts on who you think are going to be the 3 most exposed pitchers that we have today. No, 4. I'm sorry, 4. I think Dean Kremer comes up. I think it's going to be Skubal, Detmers, Mackenzie Gore, and Dean Kremer. The fact that he's 6,200 with a 5.5K prop, I think it might be Dean Kremer. And I can tell you right now, I have no idea. You can see us running the Sims here. We're running at 20% to first. You can see us running the Sims. But who do you guys think it's going to be? Ryan, Skubal, Soroka, Detmers, Kremer. I don't think it's going to be Soroka. I don't. His projection has come down too far in the data hub with our second round of projections. 14, 8,200 doesn't make a lot of sense. Skubal, Gore, Detmers, Wisniewski. Skubal, Gore, yeah, I could see that for sure. Was that? Yeah. Rogers, Skubal, Gore, Detmer. I could see that. A couple people were asking about Peralta. Look, I'll be honest with you. I've said this a lot. And, people were asking about Peralta last start. In his first start, they're like, yeah, change of scenery could be good for him. Yeah, well, if that change of scenery didn't start with him traveling to Coors Field, he got blown up, didn't get out of the 4th inning. I'm sorry to say he's just not good anymore. Now, if I didn't want to play him at Coors Field, I can tell you I don't really want to play him at Sutter Health Park. If you want to, and you want to hope that like maybe he figures things out now that he's out of New York, fine. But he has a very unenviable first 2 starts to make a good first impression on this Tampa Bay front office, not that it matters anymore, and fan base, because he had to go to Coors Field and then he has to go to Sutter Health Park. Those are like the 2 worst parks to pitch in right now. It's going to be almost 90 degrees at Sutter Health today, 88 degrees, winds blowing out at 9 miles per hour to left center, and you have a 10-run total in this game. I don't see the reason to take that risk. Anyway, I was right. Skubal, Gore, Detmers, and Kremer. Now, whoever said Freddie Peralta, there's 10%. But I ended up getting this one right. I'm not shocked by it because a 5.5K prop at 6,200, a 15.5 outs prop, all of that stuff looks pretty damn good today. Not to mention that Baltimore has the highest K rate in the league. So for all of our Kremer discussion, he has come up significantly since we updated the projections to 18%. We're about 10% overweight there. We're overweight to Skubal by 20%, to Mackenzie Gore, big shocker, right? And then we are a little bit overweight to Reed Detmers. The guys we're basically getting none of. Not a lot of Henderson. I think that's probably for all the reasons that I discussed earlier, right? Not much Noah Cameron or Tyon or Elder or Tidwell or Gray. A little bit of Jacob Lopez, some Christian Scott. I mean, I do not like Jacob Lopez. He's cheap, but I don't. I would just rather get more Dean Kremer, personally. I would rather just take the 8% Jacob Lopez and put that up to Dean Kremer, personally, because I don't know where the upside comes from there. Christian Scott at 8%, 10% Peralta. I don't love it, but, I guess it's only 10%. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Aaron. It's a terrible first two starts to draw. Now, I do understand as well that this athletics team is kind of a skeleton crew right now. Don't think it matters. Don't think it matters. Still a brutal spot. The thing about Reed Detmers, though, is that there are a handful of pitchers out there in this league who are uniquely priced or uniquely positioned to never see their price point fluctuate much, right? Guys like Reed Detmers are a good example of that because he will just have horrible games and he will have a good amount of horrible games that keeps, that balances the price point from when he goes out there and throws, 9 or 10 strikeouts. He has good strikeout stuff, right? We know that. On the season, you're sitting at 28%. That's pretty good. Doesn't walk a lot of guys either. But he has these games where he gets torched or he can't get out of the fourth inning. And what happens is that now there's this like very narrow band where his price point lives in. He'll get blown up, then he'll have 9 strikeouts. Then he'll do whatever, nothing good, and then he'll get blown up and he'll have 9 strikeouts. And there's no real fluctuation in salary there. So at 8,700, I think it's reasonable against Texas. I do. And you're going to get good strikeout props on him every single time. Texas has been good against lefties, right? Like from a power perspective, 189 ISO, believe it or not, only 800 plate appearances, but best in the league this year. Who would have thought? Here's the other thing. Texas has a 25.6% strikeout rate against lefties. The only teams with higher K rates against lefties are Baltimore, Yankees, Giants, and the Reds. That's it. So, yeah, Detmers is going to end up looking good. He probably has a 6.5K prop today. Let's see. Yeah, 6.5 minus 159 to the over in some spots. Penny's got a juice to the under at 7.5. So heavy juice to the over on all of these 6.5s for Reed Detmers. Can't imagine his outs prop looks all that great. 16.5 is fine. But yeah, I mean, a heavily juiced to the over 6.5 at 8,700. That's perfectly fine for all of us. No one's complaining about that. So yeah, that's what we have right now. And we'll talk about some bats, but I think we got through most of these pitchers. I personally am not a big fan of Scott today. Don't love Gray at 9,200. I think that's a tough ask. Same with Henderson at 10.2. I love Henderson. I don't love that he's 10.2. And really, he's liable to only throw like 80 pitches. And if it gets him, if he needs 80 pitches, 85 pitches to get through 5 innings, you can pretty much guarantee he's not coming back out. And as you guys know, an inning for a guy like Henderson or Skubal or whoever, like, dude, there's innings that could be worth 10 points, that we just don't have access to, given that he's been limited here. So I don't love that. I just don't like that too much. All right. As always, let's take a guess. Who do we think? Look at this. Aaron's already one step ahead of me. Top stacks will be Arizona, Tampa Bay, and the Dodgers. Who do we think the three most exposed stacks are going to be on this slate? Let me know. And by the way, for those of you joining late, one more shout out to Mood. We got this one over the weekend. How about this? Been grinding all summer with little wins here and there, knowing the tools would eventually pay off. Won $50K in the bat flip last night, thanks to the stochastic tools and Eric's insights and live before lock. Love it, man. Don't forget that promo code MLB Strategy auto loads into whatever you decide to grab, 10% off anything, including all access, including any week, including any month of any sport. And I will remind you right now that we are officially 1 month away from the start of the NFL season, regular season. We have Wednesday night football. So if you said, you know what, let me just grab a month of MLB or hell, PGA or whatever it may be. Let me grab a month, grab the discount at 10%. And then when that runs out, you're like, maybe I don't need baseball anymore. Or maybe I just want all access, whatever it may be. When that runs out, it butts up perfectly against the day that MLB season or NFL season starts. Can't beat that, man. Be strategic about this stuff. It's a wise way to go about it. All right, let's see what some guesses are. Muhammad, you got to give me 3. Tampa, Arizona, and Houston. Tampa, Arizona. Wow, a lot of Tampa, Arizona, Houston. Tampa, Arizona, Boston. Tampa, Arizona. This is crazy. Houston. Tiffany, Dodgers, Philly, Houston. Tampa, Arizona, St. Louis. Philly, St. Louis, Arizona, Texas, Tampa. God, we got a ton of guesses. Oh, okay. So clearly the two teams that chat thinks will be the most exposed right now to Tampa and Arizona. I'd say Houston. We got a lot of that answer as well. So before we do it, we have to pull up the top stacks, right? And look at team totals first. Tampa's up there. Arizona against Hughes is up there. Philly against Dobbins. Houston against Tidwell. Top stack probability. Tampa, Philly, Arizona, Houston. All right. Now, what a lot of times is going to be the determining factor isn't just the fact that maybe a team looks good, but how are they from a value perspective? Do any of these teams look good from a value perspective and also grade out really well from a top stack perspective? Toronto, let's see. Tampa is 4th in value. Arizona is pretty far down. Houston's pretty far down. Philly's pretty far down. So that's why when you look at stack score here, also why the top stacks tool is very important. Highly recommend you guys, add that into your arsenal when you're building lineups each day. You've got Tampa, Baltimore, Boston, Arizona, Philly, Houston, Texas as your top, say, 7 stacks there in stack score. Tampa, I agree, looks really good. Boston looks okay as well. I'm going to go Tampa, Arizona. I'm going to go Tampa, Arizona. Yeah, I tell you what. I kind of want, it's not going to be the Athletics, but I kind of want to jam the Athletics today as well against Peralta. I don't have any faith in that guy. Like, the Athletics and St. Louis are two teams that actually, to me, if they end up being low owned, and right now it looks like they will be relatively low owned, Athletics are like the 8th highest owned stack. St. Louis is what, 12th? Both down there in the 4 or 5% range. With how poorly the middle relievers have pitched for Philly and how inclined Painter is to get blown up, and it's 95 degrees, and knowing that Peralta's just not been good, kind of needs all of the conditions to be working in his favor. I got to tell you, Athletics and Philly St. Louis, Athletics and St. Louis actually could be two sneaky stacks. And I'm surprised that I'm even saying sneaky. I would have thought that both of those teams would be getting more ownership. I really would. But I'll say Tampa, Arizona, and Boston as our 3 highest exposed stacks. Let's see what we've got here. Flip over to stack exposure. Tampa. Oh, wow. All right. So This looks very different. Baltimore against Kremer. Now, mind you, we're getting 18% Kremer, but as it stands right now, we're getting like 23% Baltimore as well. We are getting Texas against Detmers, and we're getting Reed. Like, how much Reed Detmers do we have? 37%. And how much Baltimore are we get? Or sorry, how much Texas are we getting? Almost 30%. So the Sims are telling us something very interesting today, and that is, yeah, you can get to these pitchers because the upside there looks good in their respective matchups, but also the other side looks pretty good as well. Aaron, Peralta and Painter for all the cash. What, playing them or stacking against them? Double A. Tampa's easier to stack on FanDuel with utility. Yeah, I mean, I tell you, I am surprised that we got that much Texas and Baltimore. Tampa, Texas, Baltimore, Arizona. We were all wrong. Boston, LA, Houston. I really am interested in boosting the Athletics, though, and St. Louis. I have such little confidence in the middle relief for Philly and for the starters there, Painter specifically, that in those temperatures today, I know St. Louis isn't a dominant offense, but I got to tell you, I kind of like getting over the field there, and it's not going to take much. At catcher, Elias Diaz, Gabriel Moreno, Travis Darnell. You're talking Texas, Arizona, LA. Really interesting because two of these guys are against pitchers that we're most exposed to. Yandy Diaz, 40%. Yeah, against Lopez. Jake Berger against Detmer. Carson Williams at second base, 43%. Jackson Holiday. Ketel Marte. Caminero, 40%. Diaz, again, yeah, MPE, 40%. Now, could this change throughout the day? Of course. Carson Williams, shortstop as well, 43. For those of you podcast listeners. Gunnar Henderson, 24%. Seager, 23. Wyatt Langford, 38. Corbin Carroll, 30. Tyler O'Neill, 21. All right, so that's where we're at. Now, I don't know how much it's going to change. What if we were to come in here and run our 6 uniques, right? So we want to say just spread this out considerably. Still, our minimum simmed ROI, that would be for the 150th star lineup, is 21%. We're still in the positive. How much does this change things? Let's find out for ourselves. Tarek Skubal, 52%. Detmers actually is still up there, comes up. Gore, Kremer, nothing really changes outside of more Lopez, and I can't say I love getting to more Lopez or Christian Scott today. But from a stack perspective, do you see the stacks that we're targeting against the pitchers we're rostering coming down? Wow. See, that is bizarre. Pitching doesn't change much, but stacks change dramatically. Now we are completely flat across the board. Tampa, Texas, Boston, Arizona, Baltimore, all 10+%, nobody above 17. Philly comes up. Athletics come down. St. Louis, we get a little bit of. The last thing I want to see here before we go is what happens if we run zero uniques and I were to just kind of boost. How much do we need to boost St. Louis to get some of them? Like if I 20% boost them, you get 2%. That's crazy. If I 20% boosted the Athletics, you get up to 10%. I mean, it's pretty wild. So right now, Tool's not loving those spots. That's okay. I do think they're interesting, though. I definitely do. Yeah. We'll see. Anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out. Have a wonderful rest of the day. I'll be back tomorrow. You got live before lock tonight. Yeah, we had some issues with StreamYard kicking this one off, but thank you for you guys being patient, sticking around to watch today's show. Later on this afternoon, MLB or NFL way too early first look strategy show. I would say make sure you hang around for that one. All right. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, obviously, we're still in training camp. The preseason hasn't really even started, like in earnest. You haven't even seen the preseason start yet. So there's still a lot that we're going to have to figure out. But that show's coming up this afternoon. When did I schedule it for? Let's see. I think 2, right? Where the hell is it? I don't even know. Let's just say 2 o'clock. That sounds about right. There it is. Yeah. 2 o'clock. Yep. So we'll see you there. 2 o'clock Eastern. You guys enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.